Building a strong reputation is one of the hardest things to do in the reptile breeding industry. And in my opinion, it's due to three common but critical misunderstandings. The first misunderstanding is that a lot of people don't understand exactly what goes into their reputation. And the second misunderstanding is that they don't know what signals they are sending to everybody else in the industry about themselves and about their brand. And then lastly, the third misunderstanding is they don't know how to proactively grow their reputation, and therefore they are leaving it all up to chance. So for this week's video, we're going to dive into all of these different things, but my name's Steven, and let's get to it.
Hey guys, it is Courtney with Leviathan. Today we're going to be ultrasounding some females and talking about where we got those animals and who we got them from. So let's get to it. First girl we're going to be looking at is one of our most recent pickups. This is, we've named her Manda. My daughter named her. And she's a GHI double het hypo puzzle. Gonna go to some other hypo puzzle, sunset hypo puzzle stuff we've got going. So she's a fun addition. We got her from Carlos from Elevated Morphs. He was super kind and worked with us on shipping. And yeah, so we're really excited to have her added to the rotation.
To dive in deeper into the first misunderstanding, that is, what exactly goes into your reputation? And in my opinion, I think that you can ask yourself three different questions to help understand what your reputation is right now and how your reputation can change in the future. And the first question for this is, what are you doing right now? And when I say what are you doing right now, I don't mean watching this YouTube video. Instead, what I mean is, what are you doing for your business and for the entire industry right now? What animals are you producing, or what animals are you buying so that way you can grow them up and produce later on? What are you doing on social media? What are you doing to market your business? What shows are you going to, and how are you networking within the industry? And all of these different things kind of give it an idea of who you are as a person, and essentially, where do you sit within the entire industry? Because when we're talking about the reputation, generally speaking, most of the time people want to have the best reputation as possible, but that means that you're comparing yourself to everybody else who's in the industry. And I think that this comparison is going to allow us a really easy way to understand where we're falling at. And for the rest of this video, we're going to be talking about the same as everybody else, we're going to be talking about below everybody else, and we're going to be talking about better than everybody else, because I think that these three simple statuses will allow us to better understand what we need to do to improve our reputation.
We're pairing her to Milo, our hypo double het sunset, or pastel hypo double het sunset puzzle male. Oh, well, you want to take a look at those? Look at all those.
I'm pretty excited. There we go, some hypo puzzle het sunsets right there. The second question that you need to ask yourself in order to understand where your reputation is right now is, if somebody was looking at you from the outside in, what would they think your potential is? So you can't be going off of what triple hets you have hidden away because you're keeping it a secret and you're gonna blow everybody's mind. If people were looking at everything you have publicly displayed, where do they think you are going in the future? Do they think that you are going to be absolutely crushing it and making incredible animals? Or do they think that you are breeding a lot of stuff that is outdated and that you likely are going to be producing a ton of animals that don't have strong demand, and there's a chance that you will be out of the ball python or reptile breeding hobby in 3 to 5 years? The third question that you need to ask yourself right now is, if somebody was looking at you and they were looking at all of the friends that you have within the industry, what are the reputations of those friends? Because if those people are really well known, really well respected, it's very likely that some of their reputational value is going to rub off on you, because people are going to assume that if you're friends with some of these industry leaders and they are supporting you, you are probably halfway decent. And instead, if all of your friends are people who are a little sketchy or have no reputation in the industry, it's likely also going to send the message that maybe you don't have a whole lot going on in the industry, because if you aren't friends with anybody who's well known, then why should other people pay attention to you? And neither one of these are truly accurate, and they're not really fair because, again, your friends don't define you as an individual, but it is 1000% true that people overall judge people based off of their friend groups. So I do think that it is really, really important to understand your circle's reputation because it is going to influence yours.
So, like I said a second ago, we got her from Carlos from Elevated Morphs, and the interaction with him was super easy. Steven met him. I don't remember where you were. Where did you
All
meet
American.
him? Oh yeah, no, we both met him.
Yeah.
At All American in Denver, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we have a T-shirt that we got from him. Super nice guy. Only ever heard good things about him. So it was nice to get. We're kind of at a point where we only really get animals from people that we know of, just because it's not worth the risk of, getting surprised. And heard nothing but good things about Carlos. Met him in person, trusted him. Was really excited to buy from him.
So let's talk about the good first. And let's say that we have a brand new breeder who's coming in, but maybe they are watching a lot of different YouTube videos before they are buying their animals. Maybe they've joined some Patreons, maybe they have a mentor who's already in the industry. And with all of these different things, they are able to avoid a lot of the really, really common mistakes that most people make when they get into the reptile breeding industry, and that is buying a ton of animals that don't really work together, and it's really about just whatever catches their eye at the time, and it has no real regard to breeding projects or breeding strategy. And instead, somebody who comes in and is able to make amazing, incredible purchases right up front is going to answer that question where it's, what are you doing right now? And that is that they are buying incredible animals that oftentimes makes people who are already in the hobby pretty jealous, and you can see hate come on these people when they are coming into the hobby buying insane, amazing animals, and everybody knows that they are going to be producing amazing things down the road, which brings you to that second one, which is, what is your predicted potential for the future? So if a new breeder comes in and they're making amazing purchases, people know that they're going to be making amazing animals down the road. And especially if they are really, really active in the industry and they're doing a lot of things to get their name out and to build connections with other people in our community, it's going to look really, really good, and people are going to think that that breeder is going to have a very, very positive future going forward. And lastly, talking about their friend group, if somebody new comes into the hobby and is making amazing purchases, they're probably going to be buying from the industry leaders. And oftentimes, these breeders want to show their appreciation for this customer, so they very often will take them out to dinner if they're at shows together, or they will do collaborations with them on social media to help show their support for this new person who's coming in and doing it absolutely the right way. And this adds to that idea that if they're friends with people like Justin or Brock or anybody like that, that they probably are halfway decent.
So the reason I say that we really only buy from people that we know is even people that have been doing this for a really long time make mistakes, make misidentifications, but the people who have been doing it the longest tend to make it right. So that's just kind of like, we know who we are more comfortable buying from because we know if something were to go wrong, they might make it better. We've had a couple experiences where we bought something that wasn't what it was. For example, Steven purchased a female candy, ready to breed, our first season. He didn't end up going for us that year because he was not a female. We tried to ultrasound him and couldn't find any follicles at all. So I flipped him over, popped him, and got some hemipenes. And that was from a pet owner who had purchased it just as a female, assumed it was a female, never tried popping it or anything. So he didn't have any way of like, we didn't have any way of like saying, hey man, you actually sold us a male. It was just a guy, you know. Another time we bought what we were told was a guaranteed leopard ivory het clown male. We knew we had some stuff that we were excited about pairing him to. Turns out he was not a leopard ivory, he was a pastel ivory, and when they had told us the pairing, pastel was not listed in that pairing, so that was kind of a bummer to get pastels out of this male. So again, that was like bought at a show, so we didn't really have a means, and it was not from like a somebody that we knew, so we didn't really have means of saying, hey man, this wasn't right. Do you have anything that maybe we could, you know, work out or replace the animal with, or could we pair a female or something like that? So it's just kind of like peace of mind buying from people that you've met before, or that you're comfortable with, or that have like a good reputation.
On the flip side, let's talk about somebody who comes into the hobby and gets a bad reputation, and maybe the first animals that they are buying are very similar to all of the mistakes that we have made in the past, and when they're buying stuff that is really, really outdated, or genes that don't actually go together, or especially if they're making projects that have lethal combinations, all of this sends the idea that the person doesn't know what they're doing. And if they don't know what animals to buy now, they're going to be producing animals that are probably not going to be in demand, and they're not going to be desirable both from the pet market and from the breeder market. And it's very likely that if they are not able to sell those animals, they're probably going to get out of the hobby in 3 to 5 years. So if you came into the hobby and you were telling people that your mentor was somebody who was well known, but that well-known person had a negative reputation, that's probably going to roll off on you as well, because they're going to assume that if your mentor maybe has sick animals, a mite infestation, they've sold fake hets, and they're the person that you look up to, you're probably going to have similar stuff as them, and it's going to be a similar situation, so it would look badly on you. And again, this is not necessarily fair, because it's completely possible for somebody to have a bad reputation and you might be friends with them, and that doesn't mean that you should have a bad reputation. But again, it's the way that the world works, and people judge us based off of our friends. But again, even if you or somebody that you know has fallen into this doesn't mean that it is set in stone. It's very common for people to come into the hobby like this, and they learn over time, and as they learn, they're able to fix these mistakes, so they don't have this worry, they don't have this fear, they don't have this anxiety going forward.
So this is Georgia. She is a yellow belly GHI spot nose clown girl that we got from Canova. We picked her up in person when we were filming with Justin a couple years ago. It was a really exciting purchase for us because I think it was our first Canova animal.
With the first misunderstanding out of the way, let's move on to misunderstanding number 2, and that is new people, and really not even just new people, most people in the reptile world and most people in all of existence don't understand what exactly they are signaling about themselves and their brand whenever they are interacting in their industry. So, using the reptile industry as an example, if you are saying that you make amazing quality animals, but all of your pictures are smudged and they look terrible and they're in bad lighting, this is sending the signal that you don't know what quality looks like. Because if you can't tell that your picture looks bad, why would somebody believe that you have an eye to tell what morphs look good or what examples of morphs look good? So this is an unintended signal, because I don't think it's necessarily true that if you don't know how to work a camera, you don't know how to recognize a beautiful animal. But the idea is the same. Again, people judge all of us based off of what we can see in split seconds on social media or in person at a show. And again, if the only thing they are seeing from you is something that looks bad, they're not going to trust your judgment when you say something looks good.
Talking about people and their reputations, the fact that it is like exciting to have your first Canova animal obviously means they've got a very good reputation. and that lots of people know them. They're known for high quality animals. They're known for, like, oh, look at those.
Now, I know all the time I talk about how important it is to market a reptile business as soon as you decide that you want to treat it like a business, but I think that it is very, very common for a lot of people who try to follow this advice to do the exact same thing, and then it makes everybody blend together into almost a sea of noise. And I think that the biggest offender of this are reptile lives. And I'm not saying that reptile lives are bad, because I watch reptile lives all the time, but it is objectively a fact that almost all of the reptile lives are essentially the same thing, and that is people joining in over a StreamYard call. Maybe there is a host that interviews a guest, maybe there's a couple hosts that interview a guest, or maybe there's a panel, but essentially a group of people who get on a live and they talk about reptiles. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you have 100 of them going on any day of the week, any time that you want to tune into it, what it does is it results in a situation where all of them look the same. So if they all look the same, and let's say, I'm just making up a number, 80% of them are essentially boring. I'm not saying that they are boring, but that anybody who would come into it sees it and they see it live and it just seems like some friends hanging out, which is great, but it doesn't apply to them and they feel like that it was a waste of their time. They're going to give up watching lives altogether, because so many times when they tune into them, they are not engaged by them. So I think that if you are coming into the reptile hobby and you are trying to really drive home a strong reputation and a strong brand, doing something different than everybody else is going to catch attention. So if you are, instead of trying to do a live reptile podcast, you did an edited, produced reptile podcast where you had sound effects, you had different cuts, this is going to be 1000% a higher production quality than just simply doing a live, though it does take more work. And with this, people will notice, and it will make people say that, oh, this new breeder who just came in and started their reptile podcast, they're really, really good at editing, or they're really, really charismatic, or they have amazing production quality. And that will help you stand out, and it will help push your brand a little bit better than what everybody else is doing, even if you're doing essentially the same content. And now, I know I talked about this a little bit earlier, but going to the animal side rather than the social media of the signals that you're sending. If you are buying absolutely amazing animals that are top tier, high quality animals, it is going to send the signal that you are really, really serious and that you're going to be producing amazing animals down the road. And instead, if you are only buying animals that are essentially nothing special, and when people ask you, what are your plans or what are your pairings, and you're like, oh, it's nothing special, it's going to send the signal that you are not doing anything worthwhile in order to build up your reputation. So again, I'm not saying that you need to do everything the top tier, invest $1 million into the ball python or reptile industry, but if you are doing everything the same as everybody else, your reputation is going to be the same as everybody else. And for the vast majority of people in the entire ball python and reptile industry, most people don't have super strong reputations.
They're known for cutting edge They're known for cutting edge projects and really cool genes and gene packed animals. So it's exciting just to have them, and you honestly end up spending probably a little more money than you would from somebody who doesn't have the name behind it. And they can do that because people are willing to buy those animals.
The last misunderstanding that I think happens in the reptile industry is that people don't know how to actually grow their reputation. And there are some sayings in the reptile industry that have a kernel of truth to them. For example, the idea that you should shut up and breed, and that if you want to grow in the reptile industry, you need to produce animals. And while I do agree with this, I do think that it is super, super important to produce amazing animals that are cutting edge and other people get excited about those projects. I don't think that if you only bred your animals and didn't do anything else in 2025, I don't think that you would develop as strong of a reputation as if you were proactive and deliberate about growing it. And in order to do that, I do think that you need to market yourself. And when you market yourself, there's only so much that you can do on your own. You can make YouTube videos, you can make Instagram Reels, you can make TikToks, and all of these different things can help draw awareness and draw attention to what you are producing. But in my opinion, I think that it really accelerates when you're able to collaborate with other people in the reptile industry. Quick warning on this though, if you're too mercenary about trying to collaborate with everybody else in the reptile industry without actually building up a relationship with them, it's going to turn people off. And it's going to create a situation where people don't want to work with you because essentially you are clout chasing. You're trying to use their name in order to increase your own reputation without really offering anything in exchange. And again, that doesn't mean that you need to offer somebody $100 in order to pay them to collaborate on a video with you. But I do think that if you've bought animals from somebody in the past, you're probably going to get a better chance of them agreeing to collaborate with you than if you've never interacted with them before and you just shoot them a message saying if they will do a video on YouTube with you. One other aspect on the collaboration, I think that when you are trying to collaborate with somebody, you should never expect the person that you are wanting to collaborate with to use their platform in order to promote you. Now, this can happen, and this does happen. I do think a lot of collaborations have this mutual benefit going on where both platforms push the other person, but you shouldn't expect it, especially if you are cold outreaching to them. You shouldn't expect, if you reached out to Justin, that he is going to put you on one of his videos, even if he agrees to do a live or a video with you. Instead, the expectation is that you are going to be the one who posts it on your channel. You are going to be the one to edit it. You're going to be the one to do all the work because in this situation, he is doing you a favor. The second tip on growing your reputation is you have to give people a reason to talk about you even if you're not there. And again, I think that the most effective, the most traditional way to do this is by making absolutely amazing combos that other people talk about, and that you show how amazing a project is, and other people share your pictures, they share your videos, and it inspires them to either chase the same project or branch off in a new direction. But that's not the only way that you can get people to talk about you. So for us, one of the things that we've done, which I feel like we've been fairly successful at, is we have created reptile documentaries that have gotten a lot of people to watch them, and it gets people really, really excited in the reptile industry because it's a content style that isn't really done that much, and realistically, they require a ton of work, a ton of editing, and a ton of travel in order to produce them at the level that we like to. So it's not uncommon for when we do release them, because we try to release them near a reptile show, that a ton of people come up and talk to us about that reptile documentary. Now, there is one avenue that will definitely get people talking about you, but I don't know if it's always the most effective way, and that is conflict and drama. Because if you are involved with conflict or drama, it's very likely that other people in the industry are going to be talking about your conflict or drama because, let's be honest, all of us love to get the popcorn and read the comments and see what's going on in the industry. But if you're in drama all the time and it just seems like every single controversy has your name in it, while it probably will get people to remember you, it might get them to remember you for the wrong reasons, and it builds up a reputation that you are controversial, divisive, and that maybe they don't want to be associated with you. The last tip that we have to grow your reputation deals with consistency. And I know at this point it is pretty much a cliche, but you can't do any of these things one time. Instead, you have to develop a pattern over years and years and years. You have to be making amazing animals throughout multiple different seasons to develop the reputation that you make amazing animals. You have to be making amazing content through years and years and years to develop the reputation that you make amazing content. And all of these different things don't matter if you are inconsistent in that you might make some amazing animals one season and then nobody hears about anything you make for the next 3. Or it doesn't matter if you have one amazing viral video but then you don't post for 6 months, because in this situation, the consistency is more important than all of the individual things, because you have to be able to develop the pattern, you have to be able to develop the dependability, and you have to be able to develop the reputation that whenever you do something, it's going to be like this.